Welcome to Obsidian. Let's check out Inline Scripts. Alright, g'day guys and welcome back to another Obsidian video. Tonight we're going to be looking at a pretty complex topic. Alright, if you're just starting out with Obsidian and you're ready to dive in the deep end, turn around and go back to the shallow end of the pool because this is not the video for you. It's going to be a pretty cool video though. Alright, I'm pretty excited about this. The plugin we're going to be looking at tonight is called Inline Scripts, and it's quickly becoming one of my favorite things in the world. What is Inline Scripts? It's effectively the ability to run JavaScripts inside of your Vault and have them return snippets of text effectively. I guess we can just show you, right? Let's have a look at this. Here's an inline script that I've been using. So I'm going to trigger it by doing some key characters, semicolon, semicolon, and we're going to go table, blacksmith, colon, colon. Boom, look at that, boom, just like that. I now have a random table of items. Alright, but pay attention to what this actually is. Alright, we're going to open up another tab. Alright, I'm going to keep that over here. We're going to come over here, we're going to go semicolon, table, blacksmith, excuse me, colon, colon, boom. Plate hide, plate chain. Ooh, what do we got here? That's right, these are random results. These are actually giving us different outcomes. So what this effectively is a single line of code that I can type into a note whenever I need it and return a random table. Now, that in itself, that's pretty cool. All right, I like that, right? The problem with rollable tables is that, you've got to go and find them when you need them. All right, you've got to, roll against it to get your result. It's slow, and usually, you find a rollable table or a random table, and it's cool, and it does something that you like, and you find something else, and you're like, oh, I wish I could add that to my random table. And you can put it in Excel and create your own table, for example, and create your own random table that you can manually roll against. But for me, that always felt like a bit of extra effort, right? So I like to be efficient with what I do. I like to do things once. And even this, I love this concept of being able to roll a table inside of my notes and have the result just there as a note. All right, so this is now a note. We can use this. And the way I was planning on using this, just so you can see my mindset, is players turn up to a town and go, hey, I want to go shopping. And I'm like, oh, damn, I haven't prepared anything. What am I going to do about this? All right, what do I do? Well, I type table blacksmith and boom, I've got a blacksmith shop now ready and set up for me to instantly jump in and start selling items to my players. Now you can see I'm playing with some ideas of low, high, all right? I'm walking away from this now, there's other things that I'm doing and I'll cover that in a different video. But, conceptually I think this is quite sound. Anyway, as I'm playing with this, I'm going, this is cool, but let me bring this over here. For anyone who's wondering about all the tabs, this is the insider build of Obsidian, so this is coming soon to an Obsidian near you. Just little bit of patience. If you want to try it now, you can obviously subscribe to the Obsidian Insider. It's one of the licenses you can buy, and that will get you access to this straight away. But with that said, let's jump in. We'll have a look at the blacksmith because that's what we're playing with. So this is the Blacksmith Script, and as you can see, it's quite hard-coded. All right, so this is the armor table, and I've got one line in here for every option on my rollable table, which effectively means I'm hard coding that table. Okay, so it's a fair bit of work to go through and do this, and anyone who recognizes their syntax will realize that this is elements of an Obsidian markdown table, or just a markdown table, sorry. And if we go down, you can see I've got mundane items, then I come down here and add more, right? And then at the very bottom, I've got this script that basically returns the text. So it writes the table, and it picks 5 results, then it writes the table, then it picks 10 results, and then it writes the table and picks the results. So that's something you can certainly do with inline scripts, right? And inline scripts is pretty cool in that regards. Let me show you something else it can do while we're here, because this is pretty cool as well. If I want to do 1D20, 20, alright, that's how you do that, but with inline scripts you go semicolon, semicolon, 1D20, colon, colon, and boom, we rolled a 19. Yeah, fantastic result. And now the results are actually stored in this node. All right, and I guess that's one of the things I'm really impressed with inline scripts, because for anyone who's plays with like the Dice Roller plugin, no bad words for Javelin, like I love his plugins, but the Dice Roller plugin is for interactive rolling, right? So it doesn't store the result in your note. All right, you roll it, then you can roll it again, and the next time you open up that note, it's going to roll again. So that means you're always getting random results out of that note regardless, right? So there's no history there. I really do like, though, the fact that this one here provides me that screenshot. Like, let's say next time someone's like doing a nature check or something, I'm like writing in my notes and my journaling going, the players rolled a nature check, what did they do? Semicolon, semicolon, whoop, wrong one, colon, colon, 1D20, they rolled a 6, they failed. Right, I can do things like that, and I really like that. Now, I'm going to walk you through how to install this, but I want to start by saying, like, I cannot do justice to this plugin. Okay, this plugin is beyond my capabilities. This plugin has a lot of stuff that is built into it, a lot of stuff that is severely cool. All right, there's single player RPG stuff in here. Like, I haven't figured out half of it. All right, but we're going to have a bit of a look tonight. So let's start with how do we install inline scripts. And by now, I think a large number of you probably figured this out. We're going to go down to settings. We're going to come to community plugins. We're going to go to browse. We'll pause here and appreciate the new plugin screen, okay, because this is pretty cool. I am working on a pretty fresh installation here. I will say this, like, I have Dataview installed, you're going to need it. Inline Scripts, though, is the one we're going to use today. So to get this installed, you search for Inline Scripts, you click on it, it's going to have an install button, it's going to then have an enable button, and it's going to have the options. Okay. While you're here, you can go through and have a look at the README file. All right, there's a very extensive README file, and there's also videos now. So the author Jonathan Hurd, member of the Facebook community, if you haven't come across him yet, he's been making videos to show us how to use these, and I really do recommend that you guys go through and have a look at what he's offering here, because, as I said, I have barely scratched the surface with what he has made. And I think the power here is pretty damn insane. But anyway, we're going to start by going, obviously, install, then enable, then options. And yours is not going to look like this, but what you need to do is hit this import full library button. Okay, that's going to import some libraries that we're going to be using tonight, and then eventually it should start to look a little bit like this. It won't look exactly like this. I have some extras that I've put in here. Okay, so I've got a random note test file. I've got my scripts in here for the magic shop and the blacksmith shop. I've added these myself, all right? And effectively what you need to know is you need to import that full library, because we are going to be making use of the note pick library, okay? Which is going to be very handy for you to have. Now, I'm going to say this while we're here. The order that these things go in actually has an impact, okay? Where, like, sometimes you've got to have something before others in order for it to work. So just be aware of that in your troubleshooting. If we scroll down here, you can see there's some shortcuts. So here's a very basic one, like hi, just to show you how that works. We can come in here and go semicolon, semicolon, hi, colon, colon, hello, how are you? It replaces the text. All right, now I'm showing you that so that you can be aware that you can make shortcuts for yourself. All right, let's say that you want to write something in your notes all the time, like the date or the time, for example, or the date time. Like, you can do that with this thing, and it's very, very powerful. What does that one do? Oh, it's a dice roller together, right? So there's lots of cool things you can do in here. Go through and play with it. I will just point out that the button down here for buy me a coffee for Jonathan can be used to buy this man a coffee. Like, go out there and support this guy. Like, he's in the same category as Javelin right now, as far as I'm concerned. All right, we've got filing. Like, we now have Jonathan, right? He's making us an amazing, amazing tool. And I think, you know, support the people who make the best tools for us is one thing I believe strongly in. All right, so we've got it installed. We've gone through and done that, right? But now let's show you why I'm so excited about this, because I've shown you some basics like how to do a random dice roll, how to say hello, how are you, make it basically a shortcut for some text. All right, I've shown you a pretty complex example of how to bring a random table in, which is fantastic and cool. But what if we could get cooler? And let me show you this. All right, so let's go through and delete this. And let's say, for example, I wanted a random table that brought in, oh, I don't know, let's go something from my folder. Let's try this out. I'm going to go semicolon, semicolon, get my folder. And this won't work for you, but it works for me. I'm going to show you. I want 2 items from get my folder, colon, colon, boom, look at that. What have we got? We've got a folder here with my note 3.1 and my note 1.1. Okay, if we do that again, get my folder, I'm going to go 2, colon, colon, folder 1121, right? We are getting the random results from these notes. And if we open up one of these, we can see Bob, it costs 10. What have we got here? That's 1.1. How much? Yep, it's 10, right? So I'm fulfilling the results of my table with the front matter from my notes that I'm randomly picking. And I'm so excited about this, guys. Like, I can't even begin to stress how cool this is, right? And I've been making these things, and trust me, these things will not come directly for you. But watch this, right? Semicolon, semicolon, get spellbook. My spellbook has 20 spells in it, colon, colon. Oh my God, boom, look at that. I now have a spellbook in my notes, all right, that I've got a record that I can give my players. It's got linking to all my spells. I've got all the details that's feeding from my notes, okay? And where is this coming from? Well, it's coming from over here under mechanics, in magic items, spells. Sorry, not magic items, just in spells. It's coming from over here, and it's picking random notes from this folder. Like, how cool is that? All right, because what I'm showing you here is that we can now have random tables that you can trigger at any time, all right, that you can simply add to by adding new notes into your folder. Like, so cool, all right, because it means now our rollable tables are no longer static, all right, we can build these things in, and that is just so powerful. Anyway, I am going to share my rule, not my, I'm gonna throw this down. Like, Jonathan has 102%, like, he's delivered on this thing. Like, I've written 2 lines, if that. Like, the guy is a god, all right? Buy the man a coffee, all right? So what we have here is the code that he's written that will go away and get those random folders, okay? Now, some of this is being used in other places. So what I will do is I will share this file with you, all right? It'll be linked in the description below and probably accessible through my Patreon. So what we'll do is we'll share this file, and what you'll need to do is install it. All right, so what you do is you will download the file and you will save it into the folder where your scripts are installed. So if you remember before, we had the support inline scripts folder, okay, with everything in there. I've put this folder in that folder, okay? So you can right click on inline scripts, go show in System Explorer. We can bring this over, we can see the inline scripts folder, right? You'll be able to drag your file that you download, your MD, into here, okay? And then what you need to do is come down here to settings, come to, well, just come to inline scripts as a plugin setting. You can see it remembers where you were now, so that's cool. And then we can come in here, and what you need to do is go add shortcut file. That will add a new line at the bottom, and what you can do is you can start by typing the name of the folder, and it will then list all the things in that folder. So I can see here, for example, that random note test. I will give it a better name than this before I give it to you, but that is the name. So you can click that, and that will then fulfill it. But then what you also need to do is move it up, all right, so it's just above the notepik file. That seems to be where it seems to work the best. Now I'm going to delete this because I've already got it, okay, so I don't need to do it twice. All right, now let's go through and have a look at what this does. And I've got a few examples for you here, guys, because this can get a little bit complex, and I'm sure there's going to be people who get a little bit stumped on it. All right, so get my folder. All right, so I will show you this as well. Right? Let's have a look at this. Right, you'll see over on the right, there's an Inline Scripts buttons. All right, so I can actually click on here on my buttons and go, how many items? 3. There we go. All right, so I don't even actually need to type in semicolon, semicolon, get my folder to colon, colon. All right, because what I can do is just press this button. All right, there's a drop down here with access to all of the different things. All right, so this becomes incredibly useful. All right, and all it does is just keeps appending to the end of the file. All right, that's just how it works. Okay, so that's over there, and you're going to see me starting to use that a little bit more. You will see that there's all these sort of different things, you know, that you can do that are all RPG related. There's readmes for that, guys. Go and look into it, like it's really cool. But what we're going to be doing now is we're going to have a look at this random note test file in detail. Okay. All right, so we've got it open. I've got the random note test file here. And we can see Obsidian UI mode preview. Just ignore that. That's just basically means that it opens up in preview mode. All right, and then this is the section that matters. All right, this is one rollable section of code. And you can tell that because it's got the lines just to separate each section. All right, at the end it always covers by like a description of what it does. So in this case here, there's a couple of things that matter. So get my folder. This is actually the name that you need to write in order to do it. And you can change this, right? So I can write get my car. And I reckon if I came over here, yeah, I broke it, but let's try to look at this. Get my car to, all right. So that is just the word that you have to write to trigger. And I reckon that if I just refreshed everything, like did a reload of my vault, that would fix this up quite quickly as well. All right, we're going to put that bar back. So get my folder. Now in here, this is the code. All right, now this is referencing some other code as well, some prerequisites. You'll see here I've got some different sort of commented out. All right, so this means it's commented out. This is not code that has been run by the query when it runs. And what I've got is just 2 examples here of a parent folder syntax and a subfolder syntax. And you'll see the parent folder syntax means bracket space folder name space bracket name. So if we look over here, we see my folder is a parent folder. That means if I collapse everything, you can see that my folder is on the top level of my tree. Okay, then I branch out and there's a subfolder and then more notes, right? So this is going down one of the tree paths. All right, but this is the root. This is the top parent level. All right, so that means when you're at the parent, you use this syntax here and you just write the name of your folder. That's super easy. All right, so these are the sections that I'm modifying. My name, my folder, and then down here, I'm defining what I want to write. Okay, so what this is, result equals, all right, and let's just do this. Will this work? Nah, I need to reload that. Hang on, let's just do that just to make that work. There we go. All right, so what, how much, line. Let's have a look at this. So what is it doing? What, how much? All right, so that there matches that there. And if we put this into edit mode, you'll see this makes a bit more sense. So what and how much, what and how much. It's copying that text there. /n means new line. Okay, so that means enter effectively. Okay, so it's putting an enter in. And then it's doing this again, so again, like it's copying that out. Now this is just creating the elements of a table in textual form, that's all it's doing. It gets to the end of that, then it presses a new line, and then the code runs. Okay, and this is a loop, all right, so it's saying for let I equals 0, blah, 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 whatever, it's returning the data. And this section here is the bit that matters, so result equals this. And what we can see here is the first time it runs, it's going to result equals note name, which means it's putting my note name in the first column, all right, because you can see it's got one sort of exit there, so one pipe, sorry, I think that's called, then the note name, then a pipe, all right, so we're going to get another pipe, then a plus. All right, this is all still on the same line because we haven't had a /n yet. Data.cost. All right, so it's bringing in the data.cost. Now what it's doing, if we have a look at my folder, all right, we'll have a look here. So cost, right? It's linking to the metadata. Note name is special. All right, you'll see up here that note name is defined when the code runs. So you can always bring in the name of the note using note name. Thank you, Jonathan, for putting that in for me, because I was putting in the name of everything manually and there was a huge amount of extra effort I didn't want to do. So absolutely, thank you for going out of your way to help me with that. That's amazing. All right, so the cost, then a pipe, then a new line. So effectively what we get once it runs, because this is a loop, is it does it the first time and then does it the second time as many times as you request. I will say this though, you can only return as many random results as you have notes. Okay, if I come in here and say get items my folder 5, unable to get 5 items because there isn't actually 5 items in the list to get. Okay, if I come in here and go get items 4, oh, it can't work. And the reason for that is actually like the metadata's an issue in here. All right, but if we go get items 3, all right, now it starts to work. All right, because I've got 1, 2, 3 that are set up properly. Actually, sorry, 1, 2, 3. I don't have 4 items in here. That's why. So the metadata is correct there. Sorry, I do have 4 nodes, but I'm not in the subfolder. I'm in the parent folder, bringing the parent folders in. Okay, so that's the parent folder syntax. If we go down this page a little bit, we'll see get subfolder. All right, and I'll use this code over here, get subfolder. All right, I can go up to 4 this time, so I can get my 4. All right, you can see it's giving me different results in different orders. All right, so that works really well. But the syntax is a little bit different here. So when you've got subfolder syntax, I actually need to change this as well. We're just going to copy that in there, like that. Okay, so the syntax here is the bracket space / bracket parent folder / so / subfolder. All right, and if we were going to do another subfolder, we'd go like this. All right, but you can see this slashes turns to a backslash at the end, followed by bracket space bracket. Okay, so using that you can obviously work your way down. So in this case here it's my folder, my subfolder. You can see it's pulling from these notes. All right, so the notes inside of that file, and returns the result. So that's relatively simple. Okay, you won't need to worry about what that looks like really, because ultimately like this section of code is now ready for us to sort of reuse and share, guys. Share what you make. Like, oh yes, let's make a collection of community scripts, right, that we can share around and save each other time. I think that's going to be fantastic. So, sorry, it's late. I need my caffeine. All right, so just to stress the point though, updating this thing for yourself, you can copy this entire section of code, all right, down to the bottom of the file, change the name, okay, change the folder to point to wherever you want to point to, and then come down here and change your result. Okay, if you want to add different columns into a table, you can do that through here by adding in more of these. All right, just be careful with your syntax, and that's all you've got to be careful with. And that's it. Like that's fantastic, right? So what have I done with it so far? Let's have a look. Get magic shop. All right, let's run this magic shop. I want to return 2 items. What have we got? Got a potion of diminution and a potion of cloud giant strength. If we go into reading mode, you can see that there shows me links directly to these things perfectly. All right, why is it doing that? Well, because I've got my bracket, square bracket around my note name, which then, you know, results in text. All right, exactly the way links are required to be made in this program. So easy. All right, so what did I do? I changed the name to Get Magic Shop. All right, I could have called it anything. I could call it Magic Shop. I don't need the get. It could be Fred's Yellow Goldfish. All right, you can call it whatever you want. Come down here. I created the way I want my table to be laid out. So I wanted 2 columns, so potion and the rarity. I've now got that. All right, then I come down here and I've defined the results. So I get my note name, then my rarity. Very simple, right? Let's have a look at another example. This here is the get spellbook, and this is a much more advanced sort of concept of what we can do. So spellbook, I want 10 spells, boom. All right, I've now got a spellbook. All right, notice I've actually included spellbook in the actual return result here, and I've also returned a lot more columns. Okay, a lot more columns. So it's actually very simple. So let's look at it down. Let's break it down. We've got the spellbook name. So this is the name I need to write to trigger it. Then I'm defining where I'm going to pull my notes from. So in this case here, I'm pulling it from mechanics, spells, and I'm getting all of my spell results from my notes in here. Important thing to notice, guys, like every note that's inside of that folder must contain the right metadata for this to work, or else you'll start getting errors. Right? If it comes along and it tries to spin up a note that doesn't have the required metadata, you're going to have issues. Keep in mind that you can use tools like database folder to create your metadata for you, right? It makes it a lot easier to replicate things. Just a pro tip. All right, then I've come in here. All right, and I've effectively got all of this. Now, what I do here, just to show you how I think, right? Like, if I click new and paste this in, all right, and what I do is I write it out. So /n means a new line. I'll backspace there. Then I come along, I got another /n, so backspace, enter. All right, that turns into a table. Quite easy. Now I actually don't have the advanced tables installed on this, but that could make this a lot easier as well. But you can design this thing, right? You can design this code or this text in a note and then turn it back into something. So let's say in this case here that this is what I wanted the head of mine to go. I'd be like, all right, so what do I need to do? I need to put them in brackets. So I'll put one at the start, one at the end. All right, just one. It usually puts in two. I need to have a new line. All right, so I'm going to get rid of the enters. I'm going to do a new line there, get rid of the enters, and now I have my code, and I can go back to my random test file and paste that in here. Now, all this is doing when you run this script is just writing text to a note. So if you get this wrong, no harm, no foul. All right, you'll see the error, you'll be able to go and tweak it, and you'll be able to output what you want. But the important thing here is that you're trying to make as many columns and headings for your table as you need for your data. Alright, so data. What have we got? We got the spellbook. This is the heading. Then a new line. Name, level, casting time range, area, components, duration, school, classes. I'm doing the same thing here. So I've got one line for note name, alright, which is the first column. This one's a little bit special because I don't want to use the actual metadata. I want to use the note name, which comes from this line of code here. And you can see note name is the name of the note. If you did use note name in your metadata, I would say you should either rename your other notes or rename this, but make sure there's a difference. All right, so here we start by creating the pipe. All right, go to here, pipe. Then we come in here and we do square bracket, square bracket. All right, so pipe and square bracket, square bracket. Then we return the note name, which is that section there. Then we return square bracket on the right. All right, then a space, then a pipe, then a space. So that first line is this. Okay, and then the second line returns that level from the metadata of the note, the level. All right, and then a pipe. So effectively it goes 8 space pipe space and returns that. And we just keep repeating that. All right, so we go through casting time, range, area. And if you wanted to add a new line, you could just do this, right? And you just add it in like that. Make sure you align your data in the same way. All right, and that's all there is to it. So it's relatively simple. And you can do that from up on like this template that I'll give you. You just cut and paste that down and copy it. But obviously the start and the end are usually unique in that there's a different format to them. So the start is unique because it's got the square brackets in order to create links to those notes. and the end is unique in that it's got a break line instead of a plus. All right, so the plus pieces all of these things together. All right, they're actually not included in the code. All right, whereas the /n will create a new line. All right, and it just does that. There you go. And now we have the ability to say, you found 20 spells. What'd you find? All right, here you go. And technically, I could now drag that into my share folder, which I have set up. So I get that on their website. Bingo, off they go. So relatively simple, really cool functionality. All right, get magic potions. What have we got here? This was actually our testing, so I don't even think I've made a button for this. So we might go through and show you how to do that. So get magic potions 3. Get magic potions. Get magic potions. Oh. Boom. All right, so your spelling's right. If you get your spelling wrong, all right, like I just did then, this is what I did, which is why it didn't work. All right, throws up an error. Shortcut, unidentified, get magic potions. Just me and my big fat fingers. But if you need to fix something when you're typing it, you just fix it and go to the end, delete one of the colons and put it back, and it will instantly trigger it again, and off it goes. So effectively what you need to know is that these options here are triggering this plugin. All right, and if we go back to settings and have a look at the inline scripts, go down here, you'll actually see the prefix is set and the suffix is set, so you can actually change that if you want. If you don't want to use semicolon and colon, you can change them to your heart's desire. All right, so that's all that is. All right, and we got one here for mundane items as well. We do have a button for that one, so we can go mundane items. Boom, there we go. Looks like I've actually not defined my rarity type and group in my mundane items, so I would need to go through and do that. Yep, I'm missing that. All right, so it looks like it doesn't throw an error, by the way. As I said before, it threw an error. It looks like it doesn't, just shows undefined, so it means that you can go back and take care of that. I just want to throw an idea out there, like we've been playing around this concept of global configurations. So let's say things for cost, like you could absolutely code your Dataview queries into here and it will just text write it in, right? So that's definitely a possibility. All right, let's explore the options on the right a bit more. So these are the menus, and I won't go into them all in great detail, but I will show you the ones that I've been playing with myself. So random note test, I've been having a look at it. This one's group locked. Oh yeah, looks like I've buggered it out again, so I'm just going to reload it. There we go. Alright, so you can see my buttons here. Now, I said before that I'm missing a button, right? Missing one for get magic potions. So I'm going to copy the name that I want to use to trigger this, and then I'm going to come over here. Alright, I can create a new group if I want, and I can add my own stuff to it. I can rename my group. You can import, export, you can remove. Just note that you can't remove or edit the official ones. You can only do the ones that you make yourself. Looks like every time that I've gone into that random note test that it seems to be bugging out. So that might be a little bit of a bug there. Not sure. We'll bring it to Jonathan's awareness and see if he wants to do something about it. But easy enough for me to reload and get those buttons back. So what is in here? All right, we've got the help buttons. We've got add a new button. We've got edit button. All right, we can reorder the buttons or we can delete the buttons. Now, in this case here, we're going to actually, well, let's go through and do an edit first. I'll show you one of my existing ones. So let's have a look at Spellbook. All right, so Spellbook display. That's what you see over here in the little button. Shortcut. You have to write what you use to trigger it. So in this case here, I'm triggering it with semicolon, semicolon, yeah, because that's outside of this. You don't have to write that bit. Get Spellbook, which is the word I needed to write, so get subfolder or get my folder, for example. Then I've got a space, and I've got a question mark, question mark, question mark. Now, the question mark, question mark, question mark is triggering the user for import. Okay, so in this case here, it's saying, all right, I'm going to replace the question mark, question mark, question mark with the elements from the parameter details1. So details1, how many spells? This is the default option. This is the text I'm going to ask the user when I put it in there. this is help. I'm going to put that in there just for the sake. All right. What does that do? Don't know. Nope, this is help. There you go. So when you click on it, this is help. That's what that does. All right, so we've got the name that we use to trigger it, we've got a variable there to say get some input from the user and tell me how many spells they'd like, we've got a help file that we can write, we've got a default option, and we've got some text that we prompt the user with. And what does that do? When we press this button, it says how many spells would you like? 2. It feeds those 2 into the question marks, and now it feeds me back 2 spells. Relatively easy, right? So down here, if we come back and go, all right, well, get magic shop. We've got that one. What do we want to do? We want magic potions. So get magic potions. We're going to add a new button. Magic potions. I'm going to paste my get magic potions in here and do question mark, question mark, question mark. All right, we're going to add one parameter. I'm going to put a default value of 1. How many potions? Press this to create random table of potions. Alright, so now we have a button, we can press the button, we can say how many do we want, and boom, we get our result. Alright, so hopefully by this point some of you are going, oh, frothing at the mouth, because I know I am, right? Like, this is superiorly cool. Like, I'm just like, oh, what can I do with this? Like, I have to redesign everything. I started to think about, like, you know, monsters, for example. I used to have all my monsters in subfolders for the type of book they were, where now I could be like, oh, maybe I need to start organizing my monsters by, like, level or by the type of monsters you'd find in what sort of areas, so that, you know, you can just run a random monster query and just throws monsters at you. I don't know. There's some cool things you can do. Shop inventory, I think, is a huge one for me. Like, I'm really excited about shop inventory. Magic wizard books, I think that's a really good one. You could technically make NPCs with this. I want to throw out the idea as well, like, you could combine these scripts so that you could have something that's returning from results, but also have the random text built into the script, so that you could return like a full, like, meddled random thing. Like, it, you know, the power is just like in your own hands, right? Go forth and conquer, I guess. So yeah, anyway, that's sort of like inline scripts. Hopefully that gives you some ideas of what you could do with it. As I said, I will absolutely share this file as well as, I think, like my shop Blacksmith, so that you have a example of how to use both the folder randomizer and the text randomizer, so that you can go forth and sort of mess around with that. If you are playing around with text, just a pro tip, like, you can go into Excel and make these lines relatively quickly. Alright, so say you have a list of items, you could paste them into Excel, and then you could do some if, ands, and thens, right, to, like, create the rest of the line. So, like, don't waste your time doing it all by text if you don't have to, right? But, Jonathan, like, as I said, this thing is amazing. Thank you so much. Like, I am absolutely loving this thing, and I'm really excited to see what the community can do with it moving forward. So anyway, guys, I think we'll call it there. I do hope you've enjoyed the content. If you are enjoying it, please do like and subscribe. Don't forget, if you would like access to my vault and all of my tests and examples, then my Patreons get full access to all of that. So hop along to my Patreon. I think it's like the cost of a coffee, so it's not expensive. And it's just designed to give you guys access to my templates and tables, so that you can use the things that I'm showing you in your own vaults and go forth and make your own ideas. You also do get access to a private Discord channel that we have, where we're always sort of having a bit of a chit chat about what we're doing. Current theme of the month is, like, we're playing with AI imaging, which is a lot of fun. So hopefully we'll do a video on that in the coming weeks as well. But anyway, guys, if you are enjoying this content, please do like and subscribe. I think I said that already, but have a great night, and I will speak to you all on the forums. Enjoy.